Welcome back to Talking Sports with Brandon. This is the NFL Week 15 preview video. If you haven't checked out the last video, last two videos actually, but the one for the NFL in general was the Week 14 recap video. Definitely go check that out. And if you haven't watched the Cowboys video, again, watch that one as well. But for this video, we are going to be talking about Week 15, where we get the first Saturday games of the week. We actually have three on Saturday: 1 o'clock, 4:30, and then 8 o'clock. So, and some good games, some decent games in that window. Definitely not bad, but it's also just football on Saturday. It's obviously always better when you could have football for as many days of the week as possible. And speaking of having football as many days as the week, obviously we had our Thursday night game. It was 49ers against the Seahawks, and 49ers win at 21-13. Nothing crazy really happened in this game. The Niners kind of did what they were supposed to do against an inferior Seahawks team. The final score was 21-13, but if you watch that game, it was, they had that in control the entire way. It was never really a question, despite it being, I guess, technically a one-possession game with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. The Niners, they dominated. The defense did what it was supposed to do. Again, they let up the one touchdown with 3 minutes left. Other than that, it was just field goals, two field goals. The sacks that they had 3 sacks for 31 yards. That's a huge amount of yards. Only let up 70 yards on the ground. Geno, he didn't throw an interception in this one, but they also did lose a fumble, though, which actually was a huge play by Dre Greenlaw on that. He really just hit him. It's not like he punched it out. He just hit him in a perfect spot, and then that led to a touchdown 2 plays later. So, that was, I guess, kind of the difference. Technically, it's an 8-point game. That's a fumble that, basically just goes for a touchdown 2 plays later. That's kind of the difference. But the Niners really did dominate this game. Purdy did, what he had to do. He was battling a rib injury. They didn't even know if he was going to play in this game. And he was really good. 17-26, 217, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Did what he had to do. Didn't really make bad throws. I think he started off this game, like 10 for 10 or 8 for 8, something like that. So just really efficient. Did what he had to do in the pocket. McCaffrey was really good. 108 on the ground, had a touchdown. Kittle had a monster game. With Debo out, you need Kittle to step up because they don't really use him that much in this offense. It's running. It's when it is passing. They're just not looking at Kittle that much. Again, this guy's a 2-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro. He can be injured at times. This year he's been healthy. He missed the first 2 games. Other than that, he's been healthy. But this guy it's not like he's just a good tight end. Like, this guy's a great tight end. You got to use him like that. And I know he's great in the run game, but him in the open field, that's where he's at his best. And if you look at his 2 touchdowns, the first one, he was wide open, but he still had to run up the field, make a guy miss, and then go into the end zone. Second one, it was just a deep ball to him, and he made 2 guys miss in the open field and got a touchdown. That's just what he does. So with Debo out, again, they assume that he will be back rather the last week of the season or for the time the playoffs do start. You got to rely on Kittle more, which will help your team in the playoffs anyways, because you plug Debo in, he doesn't need the ball all the time, but, you can run the ball to him, you can throw screens to Debo. So it's a little different how you use him compared to Kittle. You're not going to run screens. You're obviously not going to run with him. So you need to get space open on the outside. And when Debo is out there, that's just another guy they have to cover. So, but yeah, Niners go to 10-4. They win the NFC West with this game, actually. Seahawks 7-7. Again, I've been saying it. Check back in a month. I said this a month ago. See where they are. They're 7-7. They can't even, despite what happens in the Giants-Washington game on Sunday night, they can't even get into the playoffs. No matter who loses that game, they're still in the playoffs because right now they're currently 6-7. So if the Giants lose, they go to 7-6-1. They're still in the playoffs. So a huge loss for Seattle. Again, they play the Chiefs next week, then the Jets, then the Rams. So definitely not the easiest schedule. I would be very shocked if they made the playoffs. They'd have to beat the Chiefs, in my opinion, in order to do that. I don't really see that happening. They're probably going to miss the playoffs unless the Giants just lose every game or the Seahawks can somehow, maybe they beat the Jets and the Rams, get to 9 wins. That's possible, but I think it will still be tough. But that's a Thursday night game. We move to the picks, which 4 of them are on Sunday and 1 of them is on Saturday. So we'll start with the Saturday game. Dolphins at Bills. I'm taking Bills -7. This is a lot of this pick has to do with what the weather is going to be in this game, and the weather is not going to be good. It's going to be snowing. It's going to be a couple inches of snow, or maybe even like a foot of snow. I think it was something like that. It's going to be a lot of snow in this game, so it's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. There's going to be snow all over the place, and I personally just don't think that the Dolphins, who played Miami, can play in an environment like that. You know, I said it on the last episode where they're in Los Angeles on Sunday Night Football and it's like 55, 60 degrees in Los Angeles and they have heat warmers on the bench. You can't tell me they're about to go up to Buffalo and play at night as well, not a 1 o'clock game, not a 4 o'clock game, but an 8:15 game and play when it's going to be, who knows, 20 degrees, something like 20 something degrees with a wind chill of probably even less than that. It's going to be super windy. It's going to be snowing. There's no way I see them playing in an environment like that. Even the Bills struggle with it, and they're obviously play in Buffalo half of the year. So I just think that the way the Dolphins are playing also plays into this, is that their last 2 games have been ugly. Now you have to go to Buffalo. Like I said, the weather's going to be a huge factor. You want to throw the ball. It's going to be tough to throw the ball. Tua isn't a great arm anyways. Then you throw in the wind and the snow and the environment. I think that hurts their case even more. So unless their run game is really working in this game, which means they have to hammer the run, and I'm not even sure if Jeff Wilson's going to play this game. I haven't seen anything yet, but who knows if he plays. If he doesn't, it's just up to Mostert then. But even if you have Wilson, you would have to rely on them a lot. Like, you have to rely on the run, and that's just not what they want to do offensively. They want to throw the ball, so I think unless they just change their identity for this game, and it has to work as well, I don't see that happening. I think the Bills are way more equipped to play in this environment. I mean, again, they play in Buffalo half the year, and I think that they can still throw the ball because Allen still has a better arm, he's a better quarterback. So they can still throw the ball. Will they be doing it as much as they normally do? No, but also these last couple weeks they have been running it a little bit more than they've been in the past. You know, the New England game, the Jets game, they're kind of running it a bit more. Doesn't mean it's as effective, but at least they're showing me that they're willing to run the ball and not just let Allen throw it 40, 50 times a game. So I like the Bills in this one. Again, -7. You know, who knows how high scoring of a game this is going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's, you know, maybe the total is like in the 40 or something, somewhere around there. If it's, you know, each team scores in the teens or low 20s, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a, you know, 24-17, 24-14 type of game. But -7, again, hopefully they cover that. I think the weather's going to play a big factor. So, second game, Lions-Jets. So there was just announced today that Zach Wilson's going to be starting for the Jets. Mike White cannot play in this game for the rib injury that he had against the Bills. Again, they were destroying him. Legal hits, but they were killing him. So they thought he was going to play earlier in this week, but now, as it is today, Friday, they announced Zach Wilson's going to be starting. Obviously, we're not going to go with Flacco. He can't play football really, but so you go to Wilson. I'm not sure what the line was before this news was announced. I would assume it was, and the Jets are the home team, so it was at least even, but maybe the Jets were favored by a point, I would say. But now that with Wilson starting, I mean, how can you not pick the Lions in this one? The Lions offense has been on fire as of recent. They're on fire as a team. The defense still isn't great, but they're causing turnovers, which is the biggest thing. Again, last week versus Minnesota, the biggest reason they won that game is because they forced 2 fumbles. Without those 2 fumbles, Minnesota's offense, I mean, they were great last week, their offense, but they had the 2 turnovers. That was the difference. So I can almost guarantee that Zach Wilson will turn the ball over at least one time in this game. And maybe the Lions offense doesn't put up 35 plus points, but because it is a good defense, you are playing a much better defense in the Jets, but they're not really causing turnovers on their side of the ball. And as long as you can kind of just keep moving the ball, as long as you're getting field goals, putting up points, you should be able to outscore a Zach Wilson-led offense. Because again, no one's coming in for him. I guess if anything, it's Joe Flacco is coming in. So it's rather the same or worse than what Zach Wilson would do. So it's not like Mike White's going to come into this game. He's just not going to play. So I feel confident that the Lions, with the way that they're playing, the way that they're rolling right now, to get to 7-7, again, that's the team. You know, they're going to leapfrog Seattle in terms of that playoff picture in the NFC. So I see them winning this game. I do. Again, -1, it's not a lot to ask for anyways. You could win, you can win by 2 points and then you get it. So I think field goals are going to be key in this one because as long as you're putting up points against Zach Wilson, that means you're forcing him to throw the ball a little bit more, and that's where the turnovers and mistakes come into play. So Lions -1 is my second pick. Third pick, these next couple picks, these next two picks, I wasn't really sure where to go. I didn't really like any of the other games this week, and I just thought, let me just go with arguably the two of the three best teams in the NFL. So I went Chiefs Texans. I went Chiefs -14. Again, I went betting against the Texans. I did it a couple weeks ago. I bet with the Chiefs last week. That obviously didn't work after being up 27-0. I just like this matchup because, again, I didn't love a lot of other games, but it's the Chiefs against the Texans. I mean, come on. It shouldn't be that hard for the Chiefs to win by more than 14 points. And again, it's a lot to ask for. I know it is, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. But it's the Chiefs. Them being up 27-0 last week and then only winning by, 8 points or 6 points, 34-28 they won by. That's got to leave a little stain on you. You're playing the worst team in the league. You just come in there and you dominate. I think that's what they do. I think they just dominate. The Texans don't have a good run defense. Obviously, the Chiefs can pass the ball, but Mahomes has had some turnovers lately. The passing game hasn't been as efficient and as explosive as these last couple weeks as it was earlier this season. So I kind of expect them to rely a little bit on that run game a lot. Just run the ball, see what happens, go play action off that. And the run game is going to work. It's not like they're going to get 2 yards, 1 yard, 0 yards. They're going to get yards, at least 5 yards. So you can really work that run game, and then the passing game is going to come into play. Because you still have Mahomes, you still have Kelsey. So I just see them just work your offense, do the run game. The defense is going to make plays. It's the Texans' offense. The Texans had a good week last week. I don't think a 1-11-1 team can repeat 2 weeks in a row of playing good football. So I think it just kind of fits together in that way as well. So Chiefs -14. It's a big one, but I'm hoping that it does work out. Fourth game, Eagles-Bears. Again, just picking kind of the best teams in the league. Bears coming off a bye. Fields gets some time to rest that shoulder, but I still don't really see them doing much. They've been playing close games, when Fields has been on this stretch run of games. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, he is throwing interceptions. He is making mistakes. He can't lead them on a drive. I think this game is different. I don't really see this game being close. I think possibly it's a 2-possession game, and then all of a sudden the Bears score a touchdown late to make it a 1-possession, an 8-point game with 2 minutes left. That could be the only way I see it. And again, the line is 9, so that would really hurt. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully there's not some backdoor cover that just, it's like this game is just over. It's not even close. And then all of a sudden the Bears put together an 80-yard drive and get a touchdown with 2 minutes left. I can definitely see it happening. I hope it doesn't. But the Eagles are just rolling these last 2 weeks. Destroy the Titans, destroy the Giants. They put up, 35 against the Titans, 48 against the Giants. The run game is really working. The Bears, they don't have a great defense, obviously, with all their guys being traded, injured. It wasn't great to begin with anyways. So they should be able to play their offense, whatever they want to do, whether it's passing or running. Hurts, this could be another game. This is I think he is the MVP of the league, but this could solidify him as MVP. I guess next week against Dallas really would, but if he has a monster performance again, even if they win next week against Dallas and he's not great, if he's a monster performance for 3 weeks in a row, that would be, it'd be hard not to give it to him. It's still hard not to give it to him anyways, but, this could be his last chance to put like a monster performance out there on the table before, it doesn't really matter what the stats are against Dallas. As long as you win the game, you win the game. But, I see Hurts having a big game in this one. And I think A.J. Brown, I think they might go passing a little bit more in this one. I think they can run it, but sometimes they fall in love with the pass. I think you can pass against Chicago. I think they will. And it all relies on the shoulders of Fields. I mean, if he can bust a 50-yard touchdown run, if he can make plays with his legs, if he can do plays on his own and at least keep him somewhat in the game, because they're going to have to score more than 24 points, and that's going to be tough. Maybe they can stay in it, but I think he's going to have a couple turnovers. Again, their receiving game is not great. It's only the run game they have. The Eagles are good against the run, so it's going to be tough for them. So again, Eagles -9. And then last pick of the week, this one I wanted to pick. Bengals, Bucks in Tampa. The Bengals are -3.5 in this one. I'm easily taking that. They're on a stretch. They're 9-2 in their last 11 games. The Bucks can barely move the ball. They just got blown out by San Francisco. They had to come back against New Orleans after being down 16-3. I just don't see the Bucks doing much. They need, like, every time they do get a big play, it's called back because of a penalty, or they turn it over on the next play. It's whatever it is. Nothing works out for them despite the talent on the team. The Bucks offense is just rolling. They should have T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, fully back in this game. And with the way that Chase played last week, with Mixon back, with the way that Burrow's playing, the line's playing really well. He's not getting hit as much. Everything's just going well for them. I'm kind of surprised it is -3.5. I know Tampa's the home team, but just the way that they struggle on offense, the defense, it doesn't matter how good or how bad the defense plays, the offense can't move the ball. So I'm definitely surprised by this line. As soon as I saw it, I had to jump on it. And that is my 5th game of the week with the Bengals -3.5. So just to recap it, Dolphins, Bills -7. Lions, Jets, Detroit -1. Chiefs, Texans -14, Kansas City. Eagles, Bears -9, Philadelphia. And then Bengals, Bucks -3.5, Cincinnati. So I guess say my overall record again because I said in the last video, but we're 31, 36, and 3. Again, need a week. We just need, there's only a couple weeks left in the season. We got week 15 this week, 16, 17, 18. So only 3 more weeks after this one, 15 more picks. We got to go at least 3-2 this week. Just get closer to 500. It's been a struggle. It's been a real big struggle, especially compared to last year. Last year, I think I was 18 games over 500. It's a big struggle this year. So hopefully we get a big week. But we just need wins. But those are the picks. We'll run through some of the other games. So the Saturday games is Colts Vikings at 1:00. Ravens Browns at 4:30. That could be an interesting game. Still no Lamar Jackson. It looks like I don't think he's going to play that game. Browns, they looked better last week. I think this week maybe they take another step forward. Maybe the playoffs is most likely out for them, but just in terms of what you look like for the future, what you're giving me. Watson looked better last week. I think he'll look a little bit better this week as well. But that's going to be a good matchup anytime Ravens and Browns play. It's always a good matchup, a close matchup. And then, like I said, Dolphins, Bills in that 8:00. If there was no weather in that game, I'd be like, I'm still really excited for it. But if there was no weather, no snow, windy, all that type of stuff, it'd be a really exciting game because with the way that the Dolphins have been playing lately, you play the Bills. This is a huge game. I mean, if the Dolphins do win this game, they're 9-5. Bills are 10-4. Dolphins would have the season series against them as well, so the division would definitely be in play, and that means a potential 1 seed potential. But even still, you would win the division. But obviously, if the Dolphins lose, that division's over. With being 3 back and 3 to play. But it would be a huge game. It still is a huge game, but it just won't be as exciting because of the weather elements that will be playing a factor into that game. In the 1:00 window, we got Cowboys, Jaguars. I talked about it in the Cowboys video. I'll just touch on it. The Cowboys, despite what happened last week, they're still hot. They're still playing really well. The Jaguars, they got hot though. They got destroyed by Detroit, but they then flipped it back on the Tennessee. Just was unlucky opponent to face Jacksonville last week. They destroyed them in Tennessee. Lawrence is playing really well despite what happened in Detroit, and even before that when they played Baltimore and won. He's played really well. I mean, really well. And it's going to be a tough defense in this one. But Jacksonville at home is a different type of animal. They kind of just play different. Teams struggle in Jacksonville, so we'll see what it is. But if you watch the Cowboys video, I'm not expecting anything after what happened against Houston last week, but it'll definitely be a fun matchup to watch, no doubt. Eagles, Bears, Falcons, Saints, that's 2 pretty bad teams. Spencer Ritter is going to play in this game. First NFL start, obviously was drafted at Cincinnati by Atlanta. In this draft, they're coming off a bye week, so he's had a full week to prepare, being in the number ones and practicing with the ones. So we'll see what he looks like. I mean, you give him a month to see what he looks like. You obviously drafted him, so you believe somewhat in him, and just see what he gives you. I mean, he might look pretty, kind of impressive. I mean, out of all the rookie quarterbacks this season, Brock Purdy is the most passing touchdowns, and that's Kenny Pickett starting almost all the games. Malik Willis only started like one game, only been in, or two games, and has only been in a couple. Bailey Zappi obviously was in a couple of games. I think he had 5 or 6, but yeah, Brock Purdy. I mean, he's only started 2 games, played basically 3, and he has 6 touchdowns. So see what Ritter looks like. I mean, he may not look bad, but that's kind of a who cares kind of matchup. In terms of me being a Cowboys fan, I do want to see the Saints win because the Eagles own the Saints' first round pick this year, and right now it's a top 5 pick. So hopefully it gets better in terms of lower in the draft, but lower in the draft in terms of not being top 5. But then Lions Jets we talked about. Steelers Panthers. I think that's actually a pretty good matchup. It sounds kind of weird because they're both 5-8. They're both pretty bad teams anyways, but that's going to be the Steelers defense against the Carolina offense, where they want to run the ball, they want to pound the run. Steelers got to stop that run. With TJ Watt, with Cam Hayward up front, can they stop that run? Because I don't know if Kenny Pickett's going to play in this game. It might be Mitch Trubisky for the game, which I'm definitely surprised by how bad Mitch Trubisky's been this season. I thought that after sitting last year for Buffalo, watching Josh Allen, being with that offense, kind of understanding, taking a back seat, then going into Pittsburgh where you have weapons. I mean, they had Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson. To start the year, they had Chase Claypool. They have weapons on that team, but he really struggled. I mean, you always knew they were going to go with Pickett at some point, but even last week when Trubisky comes in, he didn't look that great. I mean, I think he had 2 picks in that game, but I really don't understand why he isn't better with that offense, with the way that he can run with his legs. He can make plays with his arm as well. But this could be a good matchup. Carolina's got a good defense, with Burns and Chin. J.C. Horn's playing pretty well on the outside. So they have guys on that defense that can make plays. And I think that's going to be a really solid matchup back and forth. And it may not be high scoring like you want it to be, but that's going to be a defensive battle where, I think the run game's going to work it. Can Najee Harris kind of do what he's been doing these last couple of weeks where he's been pretty good on the ground? Then obviously Carolina with what they do on the ground. Then Chiefs, Texans, Cardinals, Broncos. I mean, that's a terrible matchup in terms of excitement level. I mean, the Broncos, obviously, who cares about the Broncos? The Cardinals without Kyler, no one really cared anyways when he was playing. Now without him, they're just a dud of a team. You're waiting for Kingsbury to be fired. They'll probably just wait till the end of the season. Why not? But who knows? It may just happen before then. But yeah, that's a terrible matchup. Patriots, Raiders. That's a pretty solid matchup. That's McDaniels facing the Patriots, I guess, for the first time. But yeah, that's going to be a battle between I think Renfro and Waller got activated from the IR, so I would assume that means that they're playing in this game. So a full complement of weapons for Derek Carr against this Pats defense, which is playing at a really elite level lately. So. I mean, Derek Carr is going to make mistakes. He's going to throw a pick or two. You got to hope that he doesn't. You need Jacobs to dominate, to take the ball out of Carr's hands. But the way the Pats offense is playing, I can definitely see the Raiders. The Raiders should be able to outscore them. Despite what the defense is for New England, the weapons that they have for Las Vegas, and the way that Jacobs can run the ball, because that's really the key. If you could run against New England or at least pose that threat of running, it opens up the passing game in the back end. And I think that's what they need to do. And I think McDaniels knows that. We just had to see if Jacobs can find holes and can kind of make some ground against the New England defense. But that definitely is going to be a good matchup between the Patriots and the Raiders. Titans, Chargers, again, that's a big game for both teams because Titans need to win that game because that division is, we talked about in the last episode, they should be able to win that division, but if they lose this game, they're 7-7. If Jacksonville would beat Dallas, they'd be 6-8. That division gets a lot closer. Tennessee needs to win this game. Chargers need to win this game because again, Patriots play the Raiders. Jets play the Lions, so they're getting help in terms of their people who are in the playoff hunt with them in terms of the opponent that they are playing. But Chargers need to win this one right now. Technically, right now they're number 8 in the playoff picture. If they move to 8-6 and the Patriots lose, obviously they move up to number 7. So huge game for the Chargers. Definitely bigger for them than it is for Tennessee. But Tennessee, they've been ugly these last 2 weeks. Bengals, Bucks, we talked about it. Giants, Washington, Sunday night. Again, with Seahawks losing, it doesn't matter who loses this game. You're still in the playoffs at 6-7. But Obviously, you want to win. I mean, you want to move to 8-5-1, not be 7-6-1. Division opponent as well. So it's going to be a big game. It's not the most exciting game with the Giants in Washington, but it's going to be definitely a big game. And it's going to be Sunday night. I mean, I can't even remember the last time they played on Sunday night. Either of these teams, like, I guess against each other, but it's Washington at home. Washington probably is the better team. I think they are the better team. And the way that Saquon's playing these last couple of weeks, he looks injured. He looks not the same. He doesn't look like himself. I think Washington should be able to win. I mean, again, the last time they played, Washington was up, what was it, 13-0 or 10-0 to start that game, something like that. So they let them come back. Washington didn't really play their game after that. So I think Washington wins, but it's definitely going to be a good matchup in terms of, two playoff teams that are right on the fringe of not making it or making it. So that's Sunday night, and then Monday night it's Rams-Packers. When the season started, or before the season, when they made this schedule, this was clearly supposed to be a huge game. Monday Night Football, Week 15, Rams-Packers, supposed to be two of the better teams in the NFC, and they're both under 500 by 3 games and 4 games. So not what they had expected when they made the schedule. You can't flex a Monday night game because it's Monday night, but definitely not as exciting as it could have been when the season had started. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I guess the Packers still have a chance at the playoffs. They need to win out. I don't think they do have a chance, but obviously you never stop believing. Rams, we'll see what Baker looks like. Now it's a kind of a mini bye week to really get a hold of that playbook. So we'll see what it looks like. I think he'll still look solid. I think he will. I think he's definitely a solid QB, but these are two pretty bad teams playing against each other. So it's kind of a whatever in terms of the matchup. But yes, that is the full slate of games for Week 15. We look forward to it. We look forward to the picks hopefully hitting. Hopefully we go 5-0. Will that happen? Probably not, but hopefully. I thank you for watching. We'll see you next week when we do the Week 15 recap video. And then we'll do the Cowboys video. And then obviously at this point next week, you will see the Week 16 preview video. So I thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. And I hope you enjoyed.